Hello and welcome to the Business Building Blocks podcast with your host, Kristina Schmitt. I'm super excited about the topic today. But before I get started on the topic, I'm going to tell you a story about why I'm doing this topic. So I was dropping the kids off at school one morning and bumped into a friend of mine, and she's like, I love everything that you're doing, but you have to solve this. How do you get time to work on this stuff? I can't find the time. I don't have any more time. And I had to get the kids into school. So I was like, I have so many things. So I decided I needed to do a podcast about it. But to add to this, I was talking with my guest today, and she does this for a living. She helps people get more time. She helps working moms. So I'm going to bring her on, and we're going to chat with her. So welcome, Eva.
Hi, everyone.
This is Eva McManmon. She is the owner and president of Confident Calm Working Mom. And I'm going to let her introduce herself and talk about what she does, who she helps, and why she does what she does.
Awesome. Eva. Thank you so much for having me, Kristina. I'm Eva McManmon from Confident and Calm Working Mom, and I help working moms make more time for themselves and their family and for what matters most. I'm a time management and life balance coach. And so this is something that I really enjoy, just helping moms find time for what they really want to do. So excited for our conversation today.
Awesome. And such a needed thing because there's so many of us. I know my whole reason of why I do this as well is because I was a crazy, overworked, overwhelmed working mom. And I just want to help other moms and other business owners and leaders be able to just manage their lives and be better. So awesome. So I put together 5 tips for making more time. So we know we can't make more time, but sometimes our time is a mindset. And sometimes it's some awesome skills that I know Eva can help us with. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the list. We'll link the printable below so you can get it. And we'll also have it all out in the social medias. But so that way you can print the list. So don't feel like you have to take notes if you don't want to, but you can. But we'll just run through it, talk about it, explain it, and kind of dig into each one. So ready to get started?
Ready. Let's do it.
So number 1 in how to make more time for self-improvement is get your priorities straight. So I know that I have struggled with this one in my life. I know when I was working, it was like, I have to do all the things. But really, when we understand what's important to us, then we can focus on those key priorities. And then overall, everything gets better because all the stuff that wasn't a priority, it either gets done or it doesn't need to get done. So what are your thoughts on that one, Eva?
I love this one because I feel like a lot of, I always say you can't have time management without me management or without I management. And you have to have the I and the me in time to make the time. So I just feel like getting your priorities straight is really knowing who you are. And being kind of true to who you are, and also trusting yourself that the things that you think or want to be important are things that you can make time for. So I feel like there's a lot of self-trust that goes into getting your priorities straight, and a lot of like knowing who you are and exactly where you want to be, like what kind of mom you want to be, what kind of professional you want to be, what kind of leader you want to be. And so when we get this first part done and we do it right, it's easier to say no because you can align whatever decision you're making and ask yourself, is this really in line with the priorities that I have set for myself? So I think this is a great starting point. And I know some people struggle with this as well, because sometimes you feel like you should be doing all the things, especially people like me who have people-pleasing tendencies. I'm like, sure, I'll do that. I'm free. And it's like, wait a minute. No, I really don't have the bandwidth to do that. And so when you get that right and you make peace with that, then you're more able to say no with grace and give yourself grace that you're not able to do it all.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yes. You're kind of saying all the right things. So with this list, we don't just want to give you a list. We want to give you some actions. So the action associated with this one is we want you to write down kind of all the things you're doing So write everything down, kind of do a big brain dump of all those things that you do, and then just start like lumping them, because they're going to have categories. You know, this is home, this is my house, this is my kids, this is my work, or maybe it's got different work tasks. But then just put your priorities in order. I need you to rank them 1 to 10. Hopefully it's not more than 10, because we really can't manage more than that. So just really that exercise of ranking your priorities, it just takes your mindset and makes it go, whoop, okay, whoops, I've been upside down in my priority list. Let me rejig these tasks. So that's our step 1.
Right. Perfect.
Let's move on to step 2. So step 2, think small. So those of you who know me, I'm quite short anyway. It's not what I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about here is, so many of us, we have these big ideas, especially, you know, your high performers. Everybody's got these big, huge things we want to achieve. And we expect to do it right away. We expect to do it perfectly. And we want to go from 0 to I am perfect instantaneously. And so the thing is, with any kind of self-improvement or any kind of improvement at all, it starts with small steps, small actions that you can commit to. So for myself, I'm always trying to I got to work out. I got to start running, and I'm going to start running 5 days a week because that's what I'm going to do. But that whole getting up at 4:45 or whatever it is to go work out in the morning, it's a big task to do. So if I can do it 1 day a week, I'm winning.
Right. Exactly.
So those small steps, what's a tiny thing we can do? And so thinking small. So that's, that one, Eva.
Yeah, I love this one as well. And it's all about habit building and just building up that consistency for the thing that you want to do. And you're right. Often when we're planning, when we want to do something, we think about, we want to start. It's like if we want to eat healthy, you throw out all the junk food and you buy, Whole Foods, and you start. And then in 2 days, you're like, I can't do this anymore. So I always tell my clients to start small, and, a tiny habit you can put into place for making more time. Say you want to make more time for your kids. What I tell my clients is just carve out 10 minutes a day and just make that time intentional, where you're fully present, you're giving them your full attention, and just go all in on playtime with your kids. And so I was a stay-at-home mom before I went back to work, and I was with my kids every day. But now I feel like the time that I spend with them is just it's richer. It's shorter, but it's richer because it's more intentional. So just thinking about small things that you can do that'll sometimes make the biggest impact more than the longer time. So it's not about the quantity of time. It's all about the quality of time and how you're actually using the time that you do have. So Love this one.
Love it. I love the idea of that, taking 10 minutes to just hardcore play with your kids, like put the phone someplace else and just play a game for 10 minutes, because in kid time, 10 minutes is a really long time.
Right. I know. And I can always tell myself, I can do anything for 10 minutes. I can go hardcore with Legos or Barbies or, even things that I don't really enjoy. I'm like, I can do that.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh. So awesome. And just think of the stacking up impact of that as well. So if you're playing for 10 minutes, or if you're just walking for 10 minutes, or if you're taking 10 minutes to read an improvement book, how long would it take you in 10 minutes a day to get through a book?
Exactly.
It'll be
pretty quick, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So huge stack up effects of the small. So awesome. Absolutely. All right. The action with that one. Take your goals, because we all have big, lofty ones. If they're not written down, I recommend writing them down. They're much more impactful if you write them down. So write it down, but then break it down into steps. So think even as small as a 5-minute step. So I heard this 5-minute trick from a decluttering expert, and she said, break down all of your big, don't say I'm going to organize the kitchen today. Say I'm going to organize that drawer today, and work on it for 5 minutes. And it's I started doing that every day. The amount of impact that I made in just a week was amazing. And it was 5 minutes right there. So just break it down into 5-minute tasks, 10-minute tasks, whatever you can manage, but just break it down nice and small. So action.
Love that. And that helps with procrastination as well, because you're like, I'm just going to do it for 5 minutes. I can do this,
Exactly. I know. I'm a master procrastinator. Love it.
Gosh.
All right. So this third one. So you can give me your comments on this one, Eva, but embrace the no added time method.
Mm-hmm.
So I have actually been doing this one for years and not realizing what I was doing. But a lot of times it was a way for me to kind of pass the boredom, like of a long drive, as I would put something on that I like to listen to, or to make myself do the dishes. I would put on like a prayer app or something. And so just kind of it was like a way for me to kind of numb my brain a little bit, or to keep it occupied enough to do the mundane task. But what this one is about is find something like a mundane task that you have to do anyway. Yeah, we all have to do our dishes. We all have to drive someplace. We all have to fold laundry or do some kind of housework, and then put on like a podcast, like the Business Building Blocks podcast, perhaps, or
Yes.
or put on an audio book, put on something that is going to help you learn something. Because again, with the stacking of that, like, you're not adding any extra time. You don't have to find any new time. You're just going to do something productive with that downtime that you have.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And, in the time management world, I feel like there's two thoughts on like kind of multitasking. Sometimes you'll hear like you should never multitask because you don't really focus well on the task that you're doing. And then there's the other, train of thought that says like you can multitask, but only certain items. So I love that this part, because you can really pair items together, like doing the dishes and listening to an audiobook or a podcast is amazing. I do that all the time I have about a 35-minute commute to work. And I either spend my time in prayer or listening to music or a podcast. So I feel like pairing those together, you're just getting more done in less time, really, and learning a lot too, depending on what you're doing.
Absolutely. And like thinking about all that time too that we spend by ourselves, like how much are we just distracting ourselves with music, which is sometimes great. Sometimes you need just the 10 minutes.
Yeah. For sure.
That's what you're carving out, is the time I'm just going to jam in my car.
Yeah.
But like, well, for me, when I drive and I'm listening to something, or just listening to a podcast in general, all these other ideas start like spouting off in my head. And I am so much more ready to like take on some tasks, or to create something for the business, or to just work well with clients. And so love this one. It's kind of my rejuvenation one as well. So.
Yeah, I've done this where even with my home, where I while I'm in the shower, I have like a quick cleaner in the shower. So while I'm in there, I'm showering. And then at the end, I just do a quick wipe down of the walls and the sides, and I come out clean and my bathroom stays clean. So
brilliant. I love it. I love getting the two for things.
Right, exactly. It's the best.
Perfect. So the action for this one, so maybe not everybody has this one, but go to your library. If you don't have a library card, get a library card, but download your library's iCloud app or whatever it is, where you can just download books for free and stream them, and you can listen to them for free. So then it's no cost to you. You're getting tons of titles there. If they don't have them, you can always request them. If books aren't your thing and you want to do podcasts, get your podcast app set up, get that ready to go where you're going as well. So that's your action for this one. Find some way to listen to something.
Yes. Perfect.
All right. So number 4. So this one's a big one. So reframe your thoughts around your schedule and around your tasks. So reframing can be sometimes get people a little bit spun up in the brain. I know that. I know myself, I struggled with it, but it's really about saying, what is the reality? So for me with my schedule, I know I still do it to this day, but my task list and my schedule list kind of looks like more of a wish list some days than an actual plan for what I'm going to get accomplished. And so I write it all down, and I know I'm not going to get to all of it. So I have to actually take a step back and say, okay, what am I actually going to get done? Because when I have the wish list, I get overwhelmed by too many that I don't actually get done probably what I would have gotten done if I'd have planned appropriately.
Yeah.
For me, this one is huge. But if you reframe it, like, so my thought on it anyway is that I have to get all this done. So I have to write it all down on my list. But the reality is, I know I'm not actually going to get it all done. So,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on that one?
No, I totally agree with this one. And I feel like, um, so we usually, what's the phrase? I think we overestimate the time we have.
Mhm.
We always think we have more time than we actually do. And when I started my time management journey, I like really wanted to see where my time was going. So I tried to track it. First, I tried in 15-minute integrals, but so I did it in 30 minutes, like exactly what I was doing. And it was really helpful just to give me a snapshot of where my time was actually going, because I was thinking I had more time than I actually did. So I think just being clear on where your time is going and being honest about how much time you actually have, especially, if you're running a business or you have a full-time career, you have other things going on, which many of us do.
Mhm.
Chances are we have limited time, less time than we think than we actually do. So it's good to be mindful of that for sure.
Absolutely. Or things just take longer than you think they're going
Yeah.
to.
Yes, exactly. Distractions, interruptions.
Print something and it's like 30 minutes later.
Oh my gosh, so true all the time.
Yeah. So awesome. So my action for you on this one, check your schedule or check your task list against your priority list. Are they aligned? So that's a big one here. And
Mhm.
if they're not, start weeding out those low priority or no priority items that are just kind of somebody else's emergency. So,
That's beautiful. Love that.
all right. And the last one. I love this one because we forget it all the time, but schedule it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It kind of links in with the first one, is that if I say I'm going to read more books, I'll just do it, right?
Nope.
Nope. If I don't actually make a plan when I'm going to do this thing, then I won't do it. Like, it doesn't just fall out. Things don't just fall out of the sky because, we think we're going to do it and we think we're going to make a habit of it. So if you're trying to add a new habit in, schedule the time of day or link. I like to link things together for me. Like, I'm going to do it as soon as I get up, or I'm going to do it while I eat, or I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
like for me, that works better than I'm going to do it at 2:00 on a Thursday because
Yeah. No, for sure.
I don't commit sometimes.
I hear you.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that one?
I love scheduling it. Of course, I always tell my clients schedule everything. And what I like to do is actually take your to-do list and schedule it in your calendar. So that's an eye-opening experience to see. You have like 500 things, and then you have 12 hour, like this 8-hour, 12-hour day, and be like, where's the rest gonna go? So it really just gives you an idea that you don't really have. I think it goes to the first one, reframing your thoughts, that you don't really have as much time, or things take longer than you think that they do. So once you schedule it, I think that's just your honest, like, reality check that you only have so much time in your day to actually do all those things. So, but you won't know unless you actually like put it on your calendar. So I find scheduling is so helpful. And it was something that I resisted for a while. I'm like, I'll just know when to do it and it'll just happen. But that is never the case. You really have to put it on the calendar. And I love time blocking. And I find it helpful for me to know when I'm going to do something. And it helps my brain to relax as well, because my brain knows that at 5:00 today, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. So I don't have to spend all day thinking about when I'm actually going to do it. So I just find, I think I love this one. This is my favorite one for sure. Well, they're all my favorites, but definitely scheduling it is so helpful.
So Eva, what would you say to somebody who says, I can't schedule my whole day because things come up all the time? How do you schedule your whole day?
So I would suggest that they make an attempt to schedule their day, like just a rough draft of here's how I think the day will come. And, when we schedule and when we plan, we're just making decisions based on the information that we have today, right now in this very moment. 5 hours from now, our circumstances might change. We might be distracted, interrupted. And so we're going to have to rework the plan and the schedule that we've created. So, no schedule is set in stone. It's not concrete. We can always, I feel like it's a living, breathing document that we could just change as times change, as circumstances change. And as we collect more data, like, oh, this is what I thought how things would be in this moment at 8 a.m. this morning. It's now 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and I have more data, and this plan that I created, it's not going to work, or I need to tweak and adjust it a little bit. So I would say don't ditch the whole planning and scheduling at all. Just like create a loose kind of idea of how you want things to be, and then be open to kind of changing it as you get more information.
I love that. Like, so many times we think our schedule has to be this perfect, like, monument sort of thing, right? That's it's a set in stone sort of thing, but schedules, like everything else, like you said, it's what you know now. Strategy is the same way, right? It's what we know right now, and this is what we're going to do. Strategy, budgeting, all that stuff. This is what we're going to do. And you know what? When the circumstances change, like, so, the world blows up, you've got a giant quality issue that you've got to deal with. And so you just say, okay, well, all those things I was going to do, and they now have to get moved to tomorrow.
Exactly.
But at least I got like the first 2 hours of my day to my plan.
Right. Exactly. And I think often too is like when something changes, or our plan change or our schedule change, we just throw the whole thing out and be like, this doesn't work for me. I'm not this person. I'm not good at managing my time. And you just kind of walk away. When the hope is to just say, you know what? I didn't do all the things, but I did some of the things. What can I catch up on right now? Or what else is on the schedule to dive into? Yeah.
Awesome. Good. Another add on to this one, if you really are focused on looking to develop yourself and to really work on yourself, book yourself into a course or get a coach or get somebody to help you with that accountability, because that's the same sort of thing as scheduling it. So
absolutely,
that I know helps me a ton. Like if I have to do it because there's a deadline, it's like, all right, I got to do it.
I know. So, yes.
Trick yourself with deadlines, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because most of us actually know what we need to do to change our situation. Like we know what to do to kind of improve ourselves and to grow our businesses or to be better professionals or leaders. It's just having that accountability, though, is so helpful to many of us, myself included. And just like getting clear on your ideas and your priorities and talking that out with someone or hearing someone else's perspective is huge. It makes a world of difference. Absolutely.
All right. So the action for this one. Take one of those tiny habits or those things that you were going to do and put a reoccurring appointment in your calendar. So or find a way to link to it. Just somehow get it locked into your schedule, whether it's a 5-minute pickup sort of thing or, whatever it may be. Get it into your schedule as a recurring appointment. So then your phone's going to ding at you and say, you better go do it. So,
right.
Eventually the guilt catches on.
For sure. I love that. Yeah. Treat it like a meeting. Like if you had a meeting with your supervisor or even with a colleague, like you wouldn't just blow them off. So treat that appointment just like a meeting and say, this is on my calendar. I have to do this next, and just spend some time there improving.
Awesome. All right, Eva, anything you would add to this list?
I would add, I guess boundaries are really important to set when we're trying to manage, make time for anything, especially self-improvement, just growing ourselves. But we really have to, and the best way I think to set boundaries is just get clear on exactly what you want to do, and then communicate that with grace with the people around you or who it's affecting. And likewise, this goes hand in hand with boundaries, but also just like saying no. And I alluded to it earlier about just knowing what you can say no to. And I think something that a lot of people don't say is it's okay to change your mind even after you've said yes to something. If you've assessed and decided, this doesn't really align with my priorities. And just giving people permission that you can say no. And you could go back and explain your situation and say, I have more data and this doesn't actually align with what I want to do. And you can see if you can either like finish the term, whatever you signed up for, or help to find someone to replace you. But I think changing our minds, especially for women, for people pleasers like me too, it's important to say, like, if you've said yes to something and you've determined that you actually can't do that thing, or it'll just be extra burden on you or your family or your business or your health, it's okay to say no and change your mind. So I think that's important to put out there.
Awesome. I love that one so much. I know I've been working on the lack of people, or the trying not to people please so much,
yes,
working on boundaries, saying no, all those lovely things. So those are huge about like really just keeping to your schedule in general. Like even when you schedule it, if you don't keep your boundaries up, like you're not going to do it. Right.
Mm-mm.
So you'll let somebody book over it. And
right.
So, yeah. And so that's so important. I love that one.
Yes. Awesome.
All right. So Eva, thank you so much for coming on.
Yay.
And if anyone, what's the best way to get in touch with you if anyone would like to work with you?
Oh, great. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. I could talk about time management forever. So really enjoyed it. You can connect with me on Instagram. It's confidentcalm_working mom, or check me out on confidentcalmworkingmom.com. And I have a free resource you can download on how to make more time for what's important. You can grab that. Happy to share that. So yeah, so enjoyed this conversation. I think it was so awesome. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yay.
All right. And just as a reminder, this is the Business Building Blocks podcast, and you can get in touch with me, Kristina Schmitt, at KristinaSchmitt.ca. And if you're looking to book into a course because you really want to take your organizational development to the next level, I've got a course coming up with my colleague. It is a virtual-based course on leadership, organizational development, strategy development. It's called Thrive. So check out my website. It is on there at KristinaSchmitt.ca. So thank you so much. And we will see you next time on the Business Building Blocks podcast.